Okay, so let's make our web page actually visible on the internet. Now what we're going to need to do that is we're going to need a server, some space on a server somewhere. And this server is in particular an internet server. Okay, and from your learning about the internet, you know that what happens with the internet is that your web browser requests via the internet a particular web page from a server that exists somewhere else in the world. That server then sends a packetized version, one bit of information, one chunk of information at a time, from that is made up of that web page that's been broken down into individual packets. Those packets are sent over the internet in some way, some unpredictable path, till they get back to your web page, back to your browser, and your browser reassembles them and converts the HTML into an actual web page that it then shows you. Okay, so if we're making a web page, we need a way to put that file on the web server. Okay, and we can't do that through the internet because that's kind of not what the internet does in the sense of the way that you're thinking. What we need is an FTP client. Now this still does happen over the internet, but it's a different protocol. The P stands for protocol. Okay, so HTTP is the hypertext transfer protocol. When you type in a URL, you put an HTTP : / blah 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 blah. If you type in the whole URL, right? That's the protocol between the two computers, your computer and the server, that says, all right, we're about to send you a web page. Let me get a web page. All right, here's the web page. It's coming to you. You display the web page. The different protocol that we need to use is the FTP protocol, right? Which stands for File Transfer Protocol. Okay, we want to send a file for the purposes of storing that file on the server. It is also possible to use the FTP transfer or the FTP protocol, the file transfer protocol, to download files from a server and store it on your computer. Okay, and there's no, you just get the whole file, right? You're creating a new file on your machine and copying that file over. Now, I say transferring files. Really, what we're doing is we're copying the file. Should be clear, we're copying the file from your machine and making a copy of that file to store it on the server. And when that file is in the right place on the server, anyone who looks for that file by going to your web address will be sent the file that you put there, okay, as the web page for them to view. Okay? So we need an FTP client, or better yet, we need an SFTP client, which the S stands for secure, so it's Secure File Transfer Protocol. Now in the instructions for lab number 2 for this module, there is a reference to a document that is also available on Canvas that tells you about how to use a program called WinSCP, and SCP stands for Secure Copy. Okay. I don't have WinSCP on this machine. And any of you who are using Macs also won't be able to use WinSCP. But WinSCP is just an FTP client, among some other things. But it does FTP, and it's easy to use and lightweight. And so I recommend it for those of you who are Windows users. For the rest of us, I'm going to use what I recommend. And you can do it too. There is a client for this for Windows. If you want to do this in Windows, that's perfectly fine. And this is completely free. It's called FileZilla. Okay, so I'm going to open up FileZilla. All right, so here's how you need to think about a FTP client. There's going to be two sides. Okay, there's going to be, let's clear this off from last time. There's going to be usually the left-hand side, which is my computer. These are my files. Okay? And then, completely blank for right now because we haven't connected to a server, are going to be the server files. Now, all a server is is another computer. Okay? It's another computer that is located at a different location, okay, in the world, right? Now, every computer has files on it, and those files are stored in a file system, okay? And it may not be that you are used to thinking about your individual files as having been stored on a file, in a system, in a structure, but that's exactly what you've done. When you created this folder, this web page folder on your desktop, okay? In Windows, it will look different than I'm about to show you. What you actually did was you created, all right, so I've got, this is the file for me. This is my user's file. Here's the file for the desktop, and here are all of the things that are currently on the desktop, okay? And notice, if I click that, well, there's index.html. That is this folder. Skillet1, that's my username on this machine. Desktop, so it's the home folder for Skillet1. Desktop and 135 web page. Now, in Windows, you'll see drive letters to begin with. And by default, your hard drive is C, okay? And so, again, every file system is a hierarchy. In computer science, we really love hierarchies. So you'll have C, and that is the location of your hard drive. That's the name of your hard drive. And then there will be all kinds of things in here, like your username potentially. So you might have to click on this to see your users. I don't know for your specific computer, I can't say. But then there, either in here, there will be something called desktop, and that's where your desktop is, okay? Or over by itself, there'll be something called desktop, okay, if you don't have it nested inside somewhere else. And there'll be all kinds of other files, system files and stuff like that, most of which you don't want to mess with. But this hierarchy of file systems on your computer is precisely what you're seeing, okay, when you look right here, okay? So because this is a Linux machine, and it'll be true for a Mac machine as well, the top level file, okay, that all other files and folders are in is called root, and it has this symbol, this backslash symbol or this slash symbol, okay? Then inside home is a file called Skillet1, which is my username. Inside Skillet1, there's a bunch of stuff, but there's a desktop. I can open that up. Right here is 135 web page. So I have navigated the file system until I found index.html. Now, if you have trouble navigating your file system to find your desktop, and you shouldn't, because generally the desktop, especially in Windows, is much more easy to find, you can use the search function inside Windows or the search function inside whatever operating system you are working with to find the file index.html. There might be a bunch of index.htmls depending on what kind of stuff you do with your computer, or there might be just the one. But make sure you're looking at the one that you want to be looking at, because the confusing thing, especially for new people new web designers, is the confusing thing is that you're going to have all the copies of all the files that go on your web page. There's going to be a copy of those on your computer, and in order to put that web page up to go live, as we say, you have to copy all those files into a certain directory on the server. Okay, so there will be two different copies at least, the ones on your computer and the ones on the server. Okay, if you change the ones on your computer, the ones on the server do not automatically change. So whenever we make changes to the files on our computer, we have to re-upload them, and when we do that, it replaces the old copy with the new copy, assuming we have put it in the correct folder. Okay, so folders matter, because what can happen is you can have multiple files, okay, that all have the same content and the same name, but are in different directories. And if you change one of those, and then you upload a different one that you didn't change, it can be very confusing as to why your website did not update with the changes that you made. Okay? So, in order to simplify this, that's why I have suggested that you put all of your files into this one folder, 135 web page, right? And then I'm going to show you carefully how to upload to the web server. Now, that said, we can't upload anything yet because we haven't connected to the web server. So by the time you watch this, you will have been given on Canvas a username and a password for the web server that we use on campus in the computer science department for testing web pages and building web pages that don't last forever. And your username, your account on that web server is going to last at least until the start of the fall. Okay, but then it'll be deleted. So if you want to save these files, don't rely on putting them on the web server for a long-term solution. Okay. Oh, by the way, if you are using if you're using a thumb drive, it'll be a different drive letter. Maybe E, maybe F, possibly D if you don't already have a CD-ROM or a DVD player on your computer. So just be aware of that. If you're using a thumb drive to actually to save information for this class, go to the correct drive letter and then look for the file, for the folder, and then the files in it. Okay. All right. So you'll notice host, username, password, port. Okay. This information will be are the four basic pieces of information that any FTP client will need you to tell it, and it's the same information that you are given. You know your username, you know your password. The instructions tell you what the host is and what port number to use. So if you're using WinSCP, you can follow those instructions. If you're a Mac user, you can do it this way. If you're a Linux user, good for you. This you may already know. If you are a Linux user, it's likely you know different ways to do FTP already, but this is certainly one way that you can use. So the host is cs.csis.work. Okay, that's our host. My username is this. My password is something. Your password will be something, and you should not reveal your password. Okay, it is a complicated password on purpose because we do not want hackers to be hacking into this internet-facing server. Okay, so don't reveal your password. Don't post your password anywhere. Don't give it to any of your classmates, and keep it secret. Okay, and port 22 is the port. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to do quick connect. There is always a way to save this information over here in this FTP client. There's a thing called Site Manager, so I can save this information, so I can just come in here later on and not have to type this in every time. But for right now, I'm just going to do a quick connect, and you'll notice you may get this. Yes, you can always trust this host, so I'll click OK. All right, and this is the status, and you see it's connecting, and we're connected now, and it says directory listing successful. Okay, and you can see this is my home folder. This is my folder on the server, on the remote site on the server. Okay, and you can see this is highlighted. You can see I've got stuff in here. You probably won't. You may only have public HTML. Now we can upload files to our root folder on the server, but that is not going to successfully update our web page, because what we need to do is double click on that and then double click on public_HTML, because public_HTML and it's an alias for actually this path, but you may not see this in WinSCP. But the thing is, public_HTML is where browsers will go to look for our web page files. So we need to be sure that we are uploading to that location. Okay? And you can see I've got some stuff in here already. And I can delete this. So I'm going to click this and I'm going to press delete. And it's asking if I want to delete this off the server. Yes. I'm going to delete this off the server. Sure. I'm going to delete this off the server. Yes. Okay? Those are gone. They're gone forever. They're off the server now. Okay? Hopefully I have a copy. I do. So before I delete things or move things around on the server, I am actually, it is as if I am sitting at that computer and picking to delete things off the server. Okay? So how do I upload things? Well, this is my computer here on the left. This is the server here on the right. Notice I'm in public HTML. Over here, I'm in 135 web page. I want to, and you will have a file here called index.html. Okay? And you will have, by the time you watch this video, already seen that. And all it says on it is, "It worked!" exclamation point. So that's what you see when you go to your website right now. I'm going to replace the index.html file that you have here with our index.html file. This is a file called index.html on the left-hand side that is currently stored on my desktop in this folder. Over here is a file called index.html, which is currently stored on the server inside public HTML. They are not the same file. Okay? I want to overwrite this index.html with this one. Okay, so I'm going to double click. Right? And you'll notice that there was some information here. File transfer successful. Okay? And then retrieving data, listing data, directory listing successful. We notice that this file has now been last modified at 5/21/2020, which is when I'm making this video several weeks in advance, at 12/21/37, right, p.m. That is the most updated file. I have just copied my version of index.html onto the server at index.html. So, how do we go look at that? All right, well, we're going to need our web page. Now, this is left over from the last video. You can see this is the local copy of index.html because it says file : and then it gives you'll see a C colon in here somewhere, or an F colon if you're using a URL or whatever letter drive. Sorry, if you're using a USB or whatever drive you have stored your file in. And then there's the series of folders until you get to the file index.html. This is local. No one can see this but you. Okay? Let's do a new tab and let's actually go to cs.csis.work/ tilde, and then the name, my username, you'll put your username in there, /index.html. Okay? And I'm going to hit refresh because that's showing you an old version, right? And the browser, depending on which browser you use, so what happened right there was I have been to index.html on this at this web address recently, and so the browser was showing me the old version that it had in what's called its cache memory. Because if it doesn't detect that this is a live web page, it might not actually update the web page that it shows you every time. So this could happen to you. So if you make changes to your web page and it doesn't look like those changes are apparent, try hitting the refresh button. The refresh button will make the web browser actually get the updated version from the server. Okay? Now, it should only happen once. Okay? There's several reasons why you might not successfully update your web page. One, you could be looking at a cached version of the web page. Hit the refresh button to update that. Right? If that doesn't work, it's also possible that you have put index.html over here somewhere else, or that this is named wrong. Okay? And when you uploaded it and you looked for index.html, you weren't looking at the right file. Okay, the specific file name and the specific location is critical. Okay, I'm going to show you one other thing. Let's type in this web page again, cs.csis.work/tilde.darray. Now, what happens if I don't put in the name of the file? Okay, and just press enter. All right, and then let me hit refresh. Okay, why did that work? Okay, what's going on? Well, the reason why is because the browser assumes you mean index.html if you don't say anything else. Okay, so index.html is a special file name. It is used by the browser as the default web page to show if you don't say specifically the name of the file that you want to show. Okay, index.html. So these are the same thing. Okay, and that can be confusing, and that's why it's good habit, and that's why I had you name your web page index.html. Okay. What if we wanted to, I don't know, what if we wanted to create another web page? All right, so I'm going to go back over here to my notepad, okay, and I'm going to create a new document. Obviously, file new is what you'll use if you're in Windows. So I'm just going to copy this over as a starting point, okay. But I'm going to put new information in here, right? This is going to be my second web page, okay? Here is my second web page, okay? And I'm just going to leave the link to UNA. I'm just going to call this link to UNA web page right here, okay? Forgive my barking dogs, but I have a poodle and a Boston Terrier, and when they get going, boy do they get going. I guarantee there's a dog in the front yard right now. So I apologize about that, but let's keep going. All right, so I'm going to save this now as area.html. Okay, so I'm going to save it, area.html. All right, so now I have a file called area.html, which I can look at by doing this. Now, this is what area.html looks like. It says my second web page, that's the title. Here is my second web page, and it has the link to UNA. But if I go over here and I type in area.html, you'll see 404 not found. And that's the code for I could not find that file in this directory at this website. Okay? Why? Because I haven't uploaded it yet. Okay, so let's see. Let's double click on that again. Let's go back to the desktop. Okay, so you have to refresh this. There probably is a refresh folder button here, which I also could have clicked, and there's going to be something similar in whatever environment you're using. But now when we refresh that we see there are two files, one called index.html, one called area.html. I have not changed index.html yet. So I'm going to upload the new file, area.html. Okay, and there it is. It appears now on the server. Okay, so now when I go over here and I hit refresh, okay, there's area.html. Okay, now if I don't do anything, okay, I get my default home page, my default web page at index.html. I'd like to make a link to area.html. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go edit the index.html file, and I'm going to change this so that it looks like this, area.html. Okay, now that's weird. Because before, what we had in here was a complete URL called an absolute path. Okay, a complete URL. Like you could copy that URL, open up a new tab, drop it in, and paste it into the URL, press enter, and you'd go to a web page. If I try that, doing that same thing with a new tab, and I just type in paste area.html, it's not going to know what I'm talking about. Okay, it's going to give me an error that says, I have no idea how to resolve that. So why is this going to work? Because this is what's called a relative URL. Because area.html and the current file index.html are in the same folder, if you don't give the entire absolute web address for the link, the web browser will look in the current folder and see if there's a file called area.html to send back to the browser. Sorry, the server will look in the same folder to send back to the browser. Okay, so now I have made changes to index.html, and what I'll do is I need to update index.html by double-clicking and sending it over there. And it's like, hey, wait a second, there's already a file called index.html. Are you sure you want to replace it? Overwrite it? Yes, I do. Okay, so the old file is gone. Long live the new file. The old index.html is gone. Now we're stuck with whatever I just uploaded. So let's hit refresh here. Okay, look. So I've got same text, but the link has changed. And so now if you look down here at the bottom of the screen while I hover over this, you'll see it says cs.csis.work/tilde.darray/area.html. That's the whole path that it's about to take me to. Click on that. There we go. Now I'm at area.html. And when I click on this is going to take me to una.edu. And there's President Kitts. And I guess those are the I don't know, what do you call it? The people who do tours and stuff like that. I guess that's who that is. Okay, but anyway, that's our illustrious university's homepage. Okay, so that was uploading to the web. Okay, using an FTP client. That was making a new web page. That was linking new web pages. Okay. Let's do a couple of other things. Let's create a different kind of web page, a different kind of page called a .css file. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets, CSS. Okay? So I'm going to do a new file, and I'm going to save this as, still in that same folder, I'm going to save it as styles.css. Okay? And the name of that file is styles.css. It's not .html, it's a .css file. The file extension, the thing after the dot in the name of the file, is called the file extension. It's CSS for cascading style sheets. And this is where we put information, okay, about our cascading style sheets. Okay, and you will have done the tutorial about CSS already, so I'm not going to do very much here. But I'll tell you what, I'd like to change the background color. Okay, and so give me a second. Okay, so sorry about that. I went to I found the actual assignment so that I could do this. All right, so this is the body information. Right, this is the cascading style sheet information for the body. Now, this class is not going to go into too terrible much detail about cascading style sheets. Okay, you will have done the tutorial already, and you'll know that this is saying whenever you see the body tag, make the color blue, the font family Arial, the background color beige, the font size will be 12. The font weight will be normal instead of italic or bold or anything like that. All right, so and this is only part of what came out of this document, right? Because I don't have any headers or images or, well, actually I do have links, but I don't want to mess with that. I don't want to reveal all that for you. I'm going to let you do that. So I decided just to pull the body CSS out. So I'm going to save this styles.css. Okay. Now, I'm going to upload styles.css. So let me hit the refresh button so I can see this. All right, so styles.css gets uploaded. Let me double click it to upload it. Okay, and you'll see it's over here now, styles.css. So if I do this, what's going to happen? Let me just go over here and do styles.css. I see, oh, let me refresh that. There we go. I see the CSS page. Okay, this is not a web page. CSS files are not web pages. They do not get interpreted as web pages. They are meant to be included in web pages. Okay, so let's talk about how to do that. Right? So this is information about the web page. So it's going to go up here inside the head. And here's the line I'm going to type in. Link rel equals style sheet. Okay. href equals, and this is the name of the file, styles.css. And again, this is a relative reference. Okay. This is just saying look in the folder where index.html is and find the file called styles.css, and the type is equal to text/CSS. Okay? And so from now on, this information that's stored in this CSS file is going to be used by the browser whenever it gets ready to render or to make the web page, at least for index.html. Okay? So now I changed to index.html. Let me update index.html. Okay, yes, I would like to overwrite the old one. Change the old one, delete the old one, put the new copy in its place. Okay, now let's see it. So let's get rid of this, and let's just go to there it is. And it's hard to tell, it might be hard to tell, but the background is not white anymore, it's beige. The most obvious thing is the text is blue, and that looks weird against the link. Okay, when you actually update the A tag, you style the A tag with the CSS, that changes as well. Okay, let's go to area. It is not affected. It is not affected by the CSS. Okay, why? Because I didn't change area yet. All right, so let's go back in here and let's put that same information in the area file. So let me just copy this, just copy that, and I'll put that as information in the area.html file as well. Okay, all right, and then I'll upload area because I've changed it. Yes, I do want to upload it and overwrite. Okay, so let me go back to the web browser. This is area.html. Hit refresh. Okay, and then you can see the most recent version. For some reason, Firefox is really bad about wanting to show you cached versions of the web page and just having to hit refresh all the time. Other browsers I noticed are not that bad. It has to do with the way Firefox is designed, trying to save you time downloading new files. Okay, what else can we do here? Let's go to the CSS again, and let's change the background color to, goodness, did I ever look that up? No, I don't think I did. Here, let's, let me real quick see if I can find this. What is UNA purple RGB? Okay. One thing you might not know about universities is that they're all really interested in using the exact right shade of their colors. So it looks like UNA purple is this, and this weird number right here is actually a hexadecimal. It's actually 3 hexadecimal numbers representing the amount of red, the amount of green, and the amount of blue. But this number with the hashtag in front of it can be put right here. Okay, 46166B. That should be UNA purple. So I'm going to save that style. Okay, and then I'm going to upload styles.css. Okay, yes, I'd like to overwrite that. All right, and then when I go to my web page, we should see the changes reflected here. So I'm just going to go to the index page, and there we go. And that's hideous, but that is UNA purple. It's the purple's not hideous. The blue text on the purple is hideous. But if I click on area, you'll see it's also affected. Because if I want to change all the styles for every page that I have on my web page, for every file on my web page, I only have to change the CSS one time, and it affects all those web pages, assuming that I've put that link, and I've put this, right, this in all of those web pages. So once that links these web pages to this CSS, I only have to change one CSS file, and all of the web pages are changed. Okay, that's really the reason why cascading style sheets are such a popular, powerful thing to use. Now, the eagle-eyed among you will have seen, the last thing we want to look at is that I have this file called formexample.html. Now, what the heck is that? Well, let's look at it. Formexample.html. Well, there it is. Okay, you'll notice it's also been linked to the CSS. Okay, we're not going to be able to look at this for very long, so let's change this back. Let's change this back to beige. I like that purple color, but that's just a little bit too much, especially with the blue text. So we might be able to do here. Let's do this instead. Will this be better? Let's change this to white. Okay, and those that's also FF. That's also the color code for white. Okay, and the W3C tutorial website has information about color codes as well if you're curious. So let's upload styles.css. Okay, here we go. So let's hit refresh. Okay, that's palatable. Okay, and what this web page says is this is a basic form. When you put information in the form below and press submit, oh, and just for fun, let's look and see what let's look and see what this looks like. Okay, and then back. Okay, there's the home page. So there's a simple form here. Okay, title 1, that's the title of this text box. Title 2, that's the title of this text box. I can type stuff in. Blah. Okay, hiss. Okay. And then a button that when I select it, nothing happens. Access denied. It tried to go to a file called pay.php, but I haven't created a file called pay.php. It sent info1 equals blah, because I typed in blah into the box info1. It sent info2 equals hiss, because I typed in hiss into the box. What we're doing is I'm showing you the basic structure for some stuff that you'll need to know for lab number 3. Okay, and you follow the directions very carefully and look up and get your questions answered. Lab number 1, paint by numbers. Lab number 2, a little bit more complicated. Lab number 3, not more complicated, but intentionally less direct paint by numbers, step-by-step instruction. Okay. But to get a little bit of a head start for you, I've given you this file, which has a lot in common with the form file that you are supposed to create, okay, for lab number 3. How do you download this file? Well, there are 2 ways. You can right-click, and somewhere you'll find something that says something like View Page Source. Okay, here's the page source for that file. You'll notice here's the form element, okay? And it's going to send the action for the form element, lists the web page where we're going to send this information. Here is the name, info1, and this is title 1 is its title. Info2, title 2. And then here's the text that went on that button text. Okay? You click on this, you see info1, info2. Not coincidentally, info1, info2. Okay? All right. So you could just copy this and start from here. Or the other thing you can always do is you can click your menu system, save page as, and save it, basic form webpage.html, to your web page. Okay? And start from there. So either way, that'll hopefully give you a leg up and some information for lab number 3. Okay? All right, I expect you will have questions. That's why I encourage you to use the discussion board to discuss those questions with me and with your fellow students. You can send me a private message, but the problem with that is I'd rather us think about us being in class and me answering your questions in class so that everyone can hear the answer. Don't hesitate to ask questions. I guarantee you're not the only one that has those questions. Please do reach out. Now, if you absolutely do not want to use or cannot use the discussion board, then you're welcome to send me a private message, but the discussion board is much, much more preferred. Okay, hope that helps. I hope it's clear. Again, I'm sure you'll have questions, especially for lab number 3, because, again, intentionally, I haven't given you sort of the step-by-step rundown of how to do that. I've given you all the information you need, but you kind of need to assemble it together for yourself. And necessarily, there will be a learning curve for you to learn that new information. Okay. All right. Hopefully, I'll hear from you soon. You'll definitely be hearing from me soon. Talk to you later.